change it. Oh, it's 6:37.
Put the 5 back up.
6:37.
Okay, so just put the 5 up.
I'll start starting at 6:45. Basically, what changes does it order? Which has 6:41 with 5. Eat pizza time.
Where's your okay, Tim?
Good morning, and welcome to the Bonner Springs United Methodist Church Easter Sunrise Service, streaming live to you from the Edwardsville Cemetery. And I'll explain just a few minutes later why we're coming from the cemetery here at Edwardsville. Today is Easter Sunday, the day upon which we celebrate what happened almost 2,000 years ago. By our best estimates, it'll be about 1,990 years ago as of this year, but we're not very certain about those dates. We begin today's celebration with a sunrise service because of what the gospel accounts say happened on the first Easter Sunday. And if we're fortunate and the clouds break a little bit more, you should see the sun come up just behind those trees right over there. But we'll see as we go along whether we see the sun or not, whether it gets above the clouds by the time we get to the end of it or not. The Gospel of Matthew says, toward the dawn of the day. The Gospel of Mark says, when the sun had risen. The Gospel of Luke says, very early in the morning on the first day of the week. The Gospel of John says, early in the morning of the first day of the week while it was still dark. So the Gospels don't exactly agree upon the exact time that it was, but they all do agree that it was at the beginning of the day. About this time of the day. Well, actually it would be about 9 hours ago. If you're living in Israel, that would be 9 hours earlier than what we are here. Usually we do this service with a bonfire and sheets of paper with the liturgy and words for the songs. Liturgy doesn't work too well when you're doing live streaming, but I want us to try to sing a song, Morning Has Broken. Those of you that are on the church's email list probably received 2 songs that we're going to try to sing today, one for the sunrise service and one for the 10:45 service. So now my assistants will try to display the words for this song that we're going to sing this morning, Morning Has Broken, since, as you can see by some light around here, morning has broken. I'm going to try to play the guitar and I'm going to try to sing, and we'll see what it sounds like out here in the cold air. My fingers are just a little chilly. Hopefully the guitar is tuned for this weather here, and we'll just see how this goes. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing, praise from the word. Sweet the rains do fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where his feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden's all flame. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. And as we turn the camera back around and I get my guitar put down, the wind was not blowing until we were getting ready to start, and then the wind started blowing, so we'll see how badly it blows my notes around up here. Okay? Maybe I'll just hold on to them. As with the time of day, the Gospels also differ slightly as to what exactly happened that morning. Either 1, 2, or more women, with at least one of them being Mary Magdalene, came to the tomb where Jesus had been laid after dying on the cross 2 days before. Either an earthquake occurred and an angel rolled the stone away, or the stone had already been rolled away. But the point of all the Gospels agree upon this, that the tomb was empty. Jesus' body was not there. In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, one or two angels tell the women that Jesus has been raised from the dead, that they are to go and tell the disciples that Jesus will meet them in Galilee. Matthew even has the women encounter the resurrected Jesus as they leave the tomb. John's a little different in his story about the resurrection. There appears to be no guards in his story. Mary comes to the tomb by herself, finds that the stone's been rolled away and that the tomb is empty, and she runs and tells the disciples the tomb is empty. Peter and John, the only two of the disciples that go to investigate, run back with Mary following. And after Peter and John have left, Mary then has her encounter with the resurrected Jesus. Now let's stop for a second and consider something here. According to all four Gospels, it was a woman or women who first learned of Jesus' resurrection. According to at least two Gospels, it was a woman or women who first encountered the resurrected Jesus. If you're familiar with the writings of Paul, that you know when he lists the resurrection appearances of Jesus, he never mentions the women at all. There's probably a good reason for that. You see, in Paul's day, women were not allowed to be witnesses in a trial. So if Paul is wanting to advance possible witnesses for the resurrection of Jesus, he could not use women. They just simply weren't allowed. But then why do all four Gospels put forth that women were the first to witness the resurrection? I think it's significant to note in this year, 2020, which is the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, giving women the right to vote. Actually, it's even more significant than that. It is a part of that, the first shall be last and the last shall be first, that Jesus proclaimed. It's a part of the world that Jesus introduced by actually touching people with leprosy. That may have something to say in this day and age of the COVID-19 virus and is trying to maintain social distances and not touching each other at all. I'm not saying we should violate those rules and go out and touch people. I'm thinking that rather the people who are in the hospitals working with these people are Jesus' servants. It is a part of this world where Jesus forgave people's sins and told them, get up and walk. It's a part of the world where Jesus healed a man who had been born blind, where Jesus raised a girl from the dead, where Jesus raised the widow's son from the dead, where Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead. It is a part of the world where Jesus upends the money changers' tables, sets the sacrificial animals free. I think God is making a very powerful statement when all four gospel writers proclaim that the good news of Easter Sunday came first to women, of them being entrusted with the message of the empty tomb. Now let's change course for just a minute and talk about this empty tomb. I'm standing here in the middle of a cemetery. Scan over a little bit and let the people see that there are tombstones all around us over here. Okay? It's a little strange that in Jesus' day, he was not given a proper burial. Just as today, we're not able to have a proper funeral or memorial service if a loved one passes away. Whether it be normal times or times like this, if the body is not cremated, then it's put into a casket, brought to the cemetery, put into a vault. The bottom of that vault's approximately 6 feet down in the ground. Then the lid of the vault is put on and it's sealed. Most vaults are hermetically sealed. And then the dirt is restored on top of that, with a little mound left on top for settling of the dirt. Now let's say we come back to the cemetery a few days later to mourn the loss of our loved ones. Maybe to put flowers on the grave. Many people do that, as you can see when Ben scanned the camera around. There's a lot of flowers out here in the cemetery. Maybe you come to yell at your loved one for leaving you. Sometimes we become angry with our loved ones when they die. Sometimes we become angry with God. And I say it's okay to come out here and yell at God about why did your loved one have to leave you so early. You know, all the great prophets in the Bible yell at God. So you're joining the great prophets when you yell at God. God understands, and God's still going to embrace you with his loving arms to help you through those difficult times. People come out here to the cemetery for all sorts of reasons. But let's say a few days after our loved one has passed away, we come back to the gravesite and we notice all the dirt has been dug back up. The sealed vault has been unsealed, the top of it laid to the side somewhere. And the casket lies in the vault with the lid open. But the body is gone. And then some magical creature appears and says to us that our loved one has come back to life. That is the experience that the women had on this first Easter. Would you dare to believe it? Would you even understand it? Would you run away in fear? Or what? I want to tell you a true story from my ministry. A month before our oldest son Jeremy was born, our best friends had a little baby boy. He was the perfect completion to their family. They already had a little girl and she was perfect. Now let me tell you, she was perfect in all of her behavior, in her learning and everything. You could not ask for a better child than what that little girl was. And this little boy was just the darling of their eyes. 2 weeks into his life, he became ill, suddenly ill. They rushed him to the hospital and had to perform CPR on the way to the hospital. The hospital was 70 miles away. We were living in a small town in western Kansas at this time. And the life of this baby hung in the balance. Judy and I rushed to the hospital also. And while waiting for the plane to arrive to life watch this little baby to Denver, I baptized that little boy. Now the baby made it to Denver, but died soon after. The parents were not able to join the baby in the plane. They had to come back home, grab some clothes, and some other friends of ours drove with them out to Denver. And one of the very cruel things is that young lady had just found out she was pregnant too. So all three of us were having babies within the same year. But as I said, the baby died soon after arriving in Denver. What a tragedy this was for that family, for all of us in the church. As we were preparing to do that funeral service on that day, everybody had more or less left the sanctuary, and I was there with just a little casket there. And I prayed so hard for a miracle to happen, for God to bring that little baby back to life. I've never prayed that hard in my whole life, but it didn't happen. But imagine if it had happened. That's the kind of experience that these women and the disciples had on that first Easter morning. Did they dare to believe the news they'd heard, what some of them had actually seen? Did they dare to believe that? As of this time, they still didn't understand what had happened, of how Jesus' death on the cross was actually the ultimate act of God's love for us, of how Jesus' death upon the cross was the ultimate sacrifice for the forgiveness of our sins, of how Jesus' death upon the cross was the conquering of death for all who put their faith in him, even in the midst of a COVID-19 virus pandemic. But I'll let Andy explain the rest of that at the 10:45 service this morning, as we're going to stream it live from our sanctuary. 10:45 right here on this Facebook page. So be sure to come back here to Facebook at 10:45 for that service. We'll see you then, or at least I will be reading your comments on the sidebars and I'll actually be at the sanctuary helping with that service this morning. But I'll leave you with this. Have a happy Easter and stay safe. The tomb is empty.